Welcome to another lore video, and the two big bits of news are, of course, the Python Mark II, which can be bought early for ARX points, or you can wait till August for it to be available to purchase from the in-game shipyard, and a very quickly implemented ability to engineer the new Super Cruise Overdrive frameshift drives and get them in all classes and sizes. This article tells us that Falcon DeLacy has taken Achilles under their wing, and as I suspected in the previous video, the Python Mark II has been specifically built around the SCO drive. This article goes on to say that Achilles have been working on the drive for a year, and the development was speeded up recently with the discoveries from the Titan drive components that players brought to them in the CG. So that all fits logically with the narrative and everything so far. Sirius are unavailable for comment, says the article, or perhaps they just have no comments at this time that are printable. So I'm here at a high-tech station, and as you can see here, all classes of SCO are being sold now from A through to E. So I'll stick an A-rated drive in. Give it a quick check out, and the other thing is they can all be engineered as well. Unengineered in the Conda give me a range of 18.73, which isn't actually bad considering this thing is quite weighed down and is going to be the sample ship. In all other respects, it acts as a normal frameshift drive. Apart from the overcharge facility, there's nothing unusual about it. I'm jumping the same. Maneuverability in Super Cruise is the same. This is literally like the next evolution. And as for the war between Sirius and Achilles that I thought might happen, it looks like they've shortcutted that, because the Galnet article mentions that Falcon DeLacy are working with Achilles, and so that makes Achilles a lot more protected when they're being backed by the biggest shipbuilder in the game. So I don't think there's going to be any corporate dirty tricks between Sirius and Achilles now that Achilles have the protection of Falcon DeLacy. Which is a shame, because I think a corporate war could have been a very cool story and we could have got involved in that. But yeah, I can't see Sirius even trying to get up to any dirty tricks with Achilles now that they've got Falcon DeLacy backing. In which case you have to wonder where they're going with this. Because to all intents and purposes right now, if people can engineer an SCO drive and get more out of it, plus the ability to overcharge compared to a normal non-version 1 drive, then why are they not going to do it? They've pretty much made about 90% of Sirius's frameshift drives obsolete in one fell swoop. In a way, they had to do this, because as soon as it was revealed that the pre-fitted Python Mark II had an A-rated SCO in it, people started kicking off about pay to win and all that nonsense, so they at least had to release the drive in all classes, or get even more false accusations thrown at them than they've already had. So they've gone the whole hog and just given us all classes of SCO drive in all sizes and made them all engineerable. There are two versions of the Python Mark II, the standard one with E-rated parts, no paint job and no ship kit, or the Stellar version which has a paint job, a ship kit, some A-rated parts in it and an A-rated SCO drive. The Stellar version you get no rebuy if the ship gets destroyed, so the only rebuy cost will come from any modules you fit yourself or any engineering that you do. With the standard version, you'll get the standard rebuy cost, as you would with any other ship. So there's been a lot of talk about these pre-bought ships, which basically just give somebody a chance to buy a semi-engineered version of a ship. So let's say you were thinking of doing exploring, but you don't know if this exploring is going to be for you. We'll take a look at the two new Pythons in a second. But here we go. Your Exploration Jumpstart Diamondback Explorer. And why the details aren't toggled automatically, I don't know. But here, you know, you've got 4A thrusters, you've got a 4A power plant, you've got a 5A frame shift drive. You know, you've got some A-rated modules in there. There's no E-rated modules in there. Couple of heat sinks. You've got a double planetary vehicle hangar, Class 3 shield generator and a Class 3 fuel scoop and an AFMU. A detailed surface scanner and a repair limpet controller and a cargo rack. So, okay, now that's your basics for going exploring. That's not a bad little loadout, but of course you could engineer a DBX to be much better than this. I mean, so my DBX has got 4D thrusters engineered. It's got a version 1 5A frame shift drive. The distributor doesn't need to be as big as a 4A, so some things have been downsized to give more range. It's also got a Guardian frame shift booster in it. This has got a Guardian frame shift booster in it as well, a level 4 one. And that's not bad. It gives you 46 light years, which is plenty to sort of hop around, scan a few planets, land on them, drive around, get a feel for exploring, decide if it's for you, without having to really mess about engineering a ship for it. So you could buy one of these, try it out, and if exploring is for you, then you can take the time to engineer yourself a little explorer ship. So none of these builds are anything that you couldn't put together yourself. If we take a look at the AX Chieftain, alright, well, they tried to cover all bases there. A couple of Guardian Gauss cannons, a couple of enhanced AX multi-cannons, not azimuth ones, just the regular ones, and a Guardian nanite torpedo. Well, that actually doesn't make it useful for anything, because you would want more than that if you were going against a Titan. You'd want more Gauss cannons if you were going against an interceptor, and you wouldn't need the Guardian nanite torpedo pylon at all. So they tried to make it a one size doesn't really fit anyone. Some decent things in there. Again, 4D sensors. The first thing you'd want to do is make those long range. Acoustic sink, Thargoid pulse neutralizer. So again, you could take it into a Titan. Bi-weave shield generator. Yeah, that's fine. You would engineer that to be reinforced. The whole reinforcement packages would go in military slots if it has any, because they're the last ones to be hit, so they're the ones where you want your whole reinforcements. Mechan's done a very, very good video on why this would not be how you would build a AX ship. If you went up against a Thargoid in this, you would probably get wiped in fairly short order. But it gives you a taster of the kind of things that you would put in an AX ship if you were going to build one. The laser mining, if you ever wanted to go mining. Okay, so you've got engineered mining lasers, which is a bit new. But they're both small weapons. You're not really going to kill a lot with them. If something attacks you, you're probably better off running than trying to stop and fight. And again, 4C thrusters. Okay, well, it's a mining ship, so speed isn't everything. But you would replace those with 4A straight away. And yeah, the Type 6 isn't a bad little ship as a starter miner ship, but it probably wouldn't be my choice. So let's come to the big one then, the Python. And there are two versions of this. For 16,520 arcs, you can buy the standard Python. Couple of pulse lasers, they're just standard. All E-rated modules with a 5C SCO drive. So obviously you would replace those with at least D-rated and A-rated modules. And you would go out and probably swap that drive. 6E shield generator, yeah, but the only thing I'd keep on this would be the Super Cruise Assist. Everything else would be replaced. So let's have a look at the one that's already pre-built and jazzed up with a paint job and a ship kit and all that stuff. This is a 33,000 arcs. They put multi-cannons in it, which is quite interesting because that's probably not the best weapon to put in a Class 3 slot. The Class 3 multi-cannon has the slowest spin-up time of any multi-cannon. Class 4 is actually better because there's 0 spin-up time, and the same with the Class 2s and Class 1s. The Class C has a lag before it starts firing, and so actually, although 4 large multi-cannons sound very good in theory, in practice they're not that great. You wouldn't really use them. And this is a bit more like it. A 6A power plant, 6A thrusters, and a 5A SCO with a 6A power plant. 6A power distributor and power plant. Yeah, it's got a 16-ton fuel tank, so half the fuel of the original. That puts it on a par with things like the Chieftain. Bit better than the Fer-de-Lance. A-rated shield boosters, not bad. I would probably replace those with heavy-duty E-rated shield boosters to keep the power down, because there may be some concerns if you pack this full of a big shield and big A-rated boosters and weapons that you would not have the power to run it unless you were using an armoured or overcharged power plant. If you're going to use a low emissions build, you're going to have to be a bit more careful with your power than that. 6C bi-weave shield generator, yep, that's perfect. You would probably engineer that to be reinforced, a couple of hull reinforcement packages, module reinforcement packages, and a repair limpet controller again. Okay, alright. Well, that's not too bad. All of these modules are going to be replaced. I shall put temporarily modules in there from another ship, except for the 5A SCO drive. And the modules from this can't be used in any other ship, but that doesn't matter. I shall just be getting rid of them. Or engineering them, whichever. So let's buy this thing. There we go. Performing transaction. You own this item. Thank you. You are now the proud owner of a Python Mark II. And here we are. So first of all, let's just come up to the surface and have a look at this thing. Now this is with a ship kit on and a livery for it, all of which you have to do yourself if you get the standard version. Okay, let's have a look. And it does look slick. That sort of moulded, curvy look to it. It is very nice. Obviously it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Aerodynamics in space. Yeah, okay. It could be shaped like a brick and it wouldn't matter. But yeah, everybody likes a nice looking ship, and that is a nice looking ship. That really does look the business. It looks very, very nice. you can see that it's paying homage to the original Python design while being a lot more obviously aggressive and combat focused. Quite a nice livery on it too, I like that. I might have a look at what other liveries are available. Other liveries are available. See what it looks like in like Razor Cobalt or something. Let's just have a look anyway at the bits that you get with it. Venom Claret. There you go. You can also get Venom Electro from a natty blue and electric blue and yellow. Venom Zest, sort of yellow and green. And Ember, kind of orange and purple. All quite expensive as paint jobs. But they all look quite nice actually. Interesting that there are only these paint jobs for it and not any others. The weapon detailing, of course, you can just do what you like with that. You just add the ones that you've already got and unlocked or bought. There we go. Decals again. I assume you can just put on any of the ones that, yeah, there you go. So any decals you got already, just whack them on if that's what you want. Identification as well, your nameplates, your ID plates, that's where they go. Bobbleheads, other cockpit accessories, yeah, put those in if you want. But I want to find out how it flies. For the purposes of this test, I want to try 2 different power plants and be able to change them depending on what I'm doing. The 2 different tasks that I'm thinking of for the Python are as a Titan bomber and as an AX reactivation ship. I want to do a low emissions power plant build for the Titan bomber and an armoured power plant build for the AX reactivation ship. And that actually boosted me into a bit of a loop of shame. I could have done it for a second or two less than I did, but I didn't even have to think about it overheating. I didn't even have to think about that. It was pretty smooth going in to the Titan itself. And nothing unusual about any of this. Dropping in quite nicely on after using the overdrive facility to close the 30,000 light seconds to it in short order. I got hit by a generator on the way in and messed up the first pulse, but got through on the second one. So I went through almost all my caustics in the process, but that was my mistake, not any fault of the Pythons itself. Once inside, I guess it's a shame this isn't an ultimate AX ship because it runs very, very cold, dropping to 15%, even with monstered instead of thermal spread on the low emissions power plant. So performance, yeah, spot on. So I get into position, ready for the vents to open, and wouldn't you know it, get attacked by an interceptor just as I'm ready to go. But by this time I don't really have anything left to lose, so I go for it anyway. The speed is pretty good, the boost is very good, and it feels just nicer than the Crate Mark II, which a lot of people use and which I've used for this as well. It just feels like a smoother experience all round, with plenty of speed and plenty of power. And even on a less than ideal run like this, I'm able to hit 5 to 6 vents comfortably while allowing for a couple of little errors, and then easily get underneath to the core, pop in heat sinks so I don't have the extra logistics of managing a beam laser, and I easily get to the core by the time it opens, and then all 4 missiles smacking into it without me having to worry too much about heat or positioning myself. Can just basically point and shoot, and manage to get it down to about 87%, which for high damage resistance as it is at the moment, because there's still plenty of systems around I'd had to clear out, that's not bad. The payout isn't bad. I didn't expect it to be very much, and there's a toroid field going off. This always looks spectacular. It never gets old. I shall miss this. That just looks amazing, with the lightning flying around the Titan and this huge blue field. Some thoughts then. I couldn't try an AX reactivation mission because they've vanished since the update. I don't know about the reactivation missions in post-Thargoid recovery systems or regular restore missions elsewhere, but in alerts and invasions in the war zone, they've gone, they disappeared. Hopefully this will get fixed and I can try the Mark II to confirm what I think will be an excellent build for it. Since recording these bits of video, I found out that engineering the new SCO drive actually does give you a slightly longer range than even the Sirius version 1 drives. Not by a whole lot, but if you really want to min-max that Explorer or Hauler while adding the ability to reach far off bodies that much quicker, it gives you options you didn't have before, or perhaps shied away from because of the distances involved in Supercruise. There's a problem at the moment that if you try to change the core modules in the pre-built Python Mark II, that you can't swap them for modules you've already stored. A fix for this is being worked on, but meanwhile there's a workaround. Go somewhere selling the module you want to change, the power plant or whatever, and just buy a new one. The pre-built module will be sold and lost forever, so don't do any engineering to any of the core modules until you're sure you want to keep them. So for example, on mine, the thrusters are what I would have on there anyway, so I just engineered those. But I wanted to change the power plant and the life support, so I bought new ones, and after that I could replace them with any that I already had engineered and stored. It seems the bug only affects stored modules, so once you've bought a brand new module, then you can swap it for anything you've stored already. On the Python 2, a fully engineered Class A SCO drive is very usable, with reduced jitter, heat generation and fuel use. On other ships, engineering one of them helps a little bit, but you can see that the Mark II was really built for it. The hardpoints have very nice convergence. When I hit the Titan core, all 4 missiles hit it without having to reposition myself, whereas with the Fer-de-Lance the outer 2 would sometimes miss, and so I would turn sideways to have all 4 pointing down the length of the core to make sure they all did damage. The same thing happened with killing Banshees at a settlement on the AX reactivation missions. Not all of the missiles would hit with the Fer-de-Lance. If I was too close, you had to judge the distance. But this I think will be a lot easier to use in that respect, because of the tighter grouping of the shots. I'm linking to excellent and very informative video by my man Commander Eagle 131, which shows the Mark II in flight assist off. He puts it through its paces and blows himself up a few times for science. His impression of it is that it's pretty nice if you don't expect it to be a Fer-de-Lance and recognise that it's longer, bigger and heavier. But don't confuse that with being sluggish, because it's not. For its size, it's extremely agile. For those of us who are not flight assist off experts, it's still very, very nice to fly. It just cruises and it feels solid and powerful. The lateral and vertical thrusters, the lats and verts, are very, very strong. Fer-de-Lance strong, but without the twitchiness. I really, really like it. There's been some talk by players that it shouldn't look anything like the original. It has the same cockpit and overall looks, but that's clearly a homage to the original Python, and I'm okay with it. Some people say that a new ship with new technology should look completely new as well, but I don't believe that. I don't think that new technology has to look completely alien to everything that's gone before, just to bash you over the head with the fact that it's something new. And I quite like the mixture of paying homage to its roots while being absolutely its own thing. It's not just a cut down, souped up version of the original to make it into a combat ship. It's got its own characteristics and its own very distinctive flight model. As a PvE ship, it should offer a massive variety of weapons to use in everything from a resource site to a conflict zone, so I can easily see it becoming the combat workhorse for BGS and power play in the way that its predecessor was a BGS and power play workhorse for hauling and other missions like that, passengers and cargo, with the biggest capacity available to any ship that can fit on a medium pad. Between the two Pythons, you could probably cover all of your BGS and power play needs. As a PvP ship, I don't do that, but from people who do, I'm hearing that it's a nice alternative without being overpowered. The Fer-de-Lance beats it on agility, but maybe not enough to matter, and the Mamba beats it on absolute top speed, but neither ship, or the Python Mark II itself, should give anybody an overwhelming advantage, and it's been well placed as a new option that's as good in its own way, but not superseding anything people already have. Your meta Ferdy is safe, people. You can relax. What does the future hold? Will Sirius still try to fight Achilles, even with Falcon de Lacy's support? I suppose it does remain possible, considering that at one point, Sirius managed to get every ship manufacturer to use their drives and only their drives. As I mentioned before, we still don't know exactly how they managed that, but however it happened, it seems times are changing now, and business is business, and technological advances like this are like a big reset switch, so it may simply be a case of if you can't beat them, join them, or it may lead to some rivalry in the upcoming power play revamp. Lee Rong Yui is the head of Sirius and a power play faction. I just can't see Sirius letting this lie. I really can't. It just seems bizarre to me that they would. As far as the war goes, there isn't a lot to report. We're all working on the plan to take down Haddad, which is nicely on target and even ahead of schedule a bit. And we're doing what we can to undermine some of the other Titans to prepare them for an assault later. All things being equal, Haddad should be destroyed in about 2 to 3 weeks. That'll be half of the Titans gone, which may be a trigger for some new tactic, because with half their forces gone, it still seems mad to me for the rest to just sit there and be destroyed. As always, all we can do is wait and see how all of these things dovetail together and, go forward for the story and the lore. And all the stories waiting in the wings that have been left hanging are still to be resolved as well. D2, Salvation, the possible disastrous consequences of messing with Guardian technology. Felicia Winters not being president yet. Not in full powers anyway, in name only at the moment. Why has full power not been transferred to her yet? What is going on? How much of this feeds into the power play update? And we don't know, obviously, at this point any more than we know how the war is going to fit in, but there are all these stories waiting to be told, and despite the fact that Galnet has been very quiet lately, it's all just waiting to happen. Stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.